Thank you
Can't
for
read name
speaking.
tags.
Oh, I'm Natalie.
Now, and why don't you say what you're either majoring in, or if you're a graduate student, what your field of study is?
I'm a third-year junior studying biochemistry and English. And I wanted to know, how do you see the women's network now? Sort of like among professionals or like executive level positions. Do you think that there's like an equivalent of a good old boy, or like what does it sort of look like now?
It's getting a lot better, and it's not going to, let's hope we don't get to the good old boy stage, which is sort of I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Let's hope it's still a meritocracy. Like, hey, I heard about this this corporation that's looking for a new director. I think you'd be perfect for it. So hopefully it's of that level. It's unbelievable how much it's changed. There's so much I'm trying to figure out where to start. There's the Women's Energy Network, which started probably 20 years ago, and now it's maybe 1,000 people. And it's huge here in Houston. There is the Global Leader, too many names, Global Women's Leadership Energy and Technology Conference. Started maybe 10 years ago. Maybe there were less than 100 people. Now they're 800 or 1,000. So there's a lot, you get to kind of critical mass, there's a tipping point, and now there's almost enough women that these things can sustain themselves. 24 years ago, Andrews & Kurth, which is a big law firm here, their female partners decided to have an outing. The guys are always doing this golf and shooting, or hunting, I guess they call it. And so they decided to have an outing. This woman happened to have a house in Aspen. So she and the other 3 or 4 female partners in the entire large law firm decided to invite some of their clients. And so they invited 6 or 8 female clients, because that's kind of how many they could find. So we all went to Aspen for 3 or 4 days. It was great. I was invited to what that has evolved to. I was a couple years ago. Now they have it in Telluride at that big hotel. I forget what it's called. It's huge. There were 300 women there. They've got, I don't know, close to 100 partners. I mean, it was an extravaganza. And it's changed that much. I'm also on, this is one lesson I have not yet learned, is how to say no. Actually, I can say no. It's the 3rd time I have trouble. There's an organization called the Women's Corporate Directors, and it started out in New York, and it's a network for women who are on boards of corporations, and affiliates all across the United States and actually globally, maybe 20 or 30 affiliates outside the U.S. Well, for whatever reason, Houston did not have an affiliate. And so last fall, I was asked would I co-chair it, and I said, no, I really don't have the time. Well, it won't really take any of your time. This was an accounting firm and an executive recruiting firm. Oh, no, we'll do all the work. I said, well, I know, great, but I'm overloaded. I've got too much stuff going on. It just doesn't make sense. They tried one more time. But, it's a great thing to do, and it's not that I really need to do it because I'm already on the board of Dell, and I was chair of the audit committee at Exterran. But it's a way to help other women get on corporate boards, and that's a worthy cause, not just because I've got some very good friends who would like to do it, so I'd like to help them, but I think adding women in the boardroom will result in better, not just corporate governance, but strategy as well, and value creation. So I would say women's networking has come a long, long way.
Thank you.
See, and that was not a succinct answer, and I wrote that up.
I'm Amber. I'm studying biochemistry and history, and I'm a student. So I actually had 2 questions, but I'll just do one now. I was wondering if you could talk about Marathon's policy in Equatorial Guinea and the exchange for combating malaria and in return for permission to drill there, essentially.
When I was talking about Marathon's values, one of our values is to be a good corporate citizen. And we want to be a preferred partner wherever we are participating, whether it's in South Texas or West Africa. And Equatorial Guinea, we operate off the island of Malabo. And the incidence of cerebral malaria in EG when we arrived there 10 years ago was just horrific. And I don't remember all the statistics, but the mortality rate for 5-year-olds was like, children up to the age of 5 was maybe 30%. Very, very high numbers. And so we thought, as a company, what can we do to help? And so we, with some of the other companies and in partnership with the government, instituted a plan to eradicate the vector, the mosquito that carries that particularly a fatal kind of malaria, and have reduced the incidence of that kind of mosquito by 90-something%. The death rate has gone way down. Now the challenge is the mosquitoes are getting, they're building up immunity to that particular, those of you in medicine are all nodding. And so we have to continue to work on it. We have to continue to invest. But it's a very tangible way that we can help the people of Equatorial Guinea in exchange for having the privilege of operating there. Yes?
Hi, I'm Ellen. I'm majoring in economics and statistics. And you spoke earlier about learning to kind of lead in your own way through observing other people's qualities. And so I was wondering, how would you personally describe your own leadership style?
I try to be thoughtful and focused on what counts. And also think about it from very much from a how do we create value for the Marathon shareholders while living our values. And so that's having respect for other employees, having respect for where we operate, etc. I am direct, I think is the word for it. Some use a one-syllable blunt. I like to get to the point. You know, it's much more efficient. You don't have the same kind of opportunity for misunderstanding. And I don't like to waste a lot of time. I'm not big on form over substance. I like to empower my team. You can't micromanage. I think that if you micromanage your team, one of two things happens. One, they become disengaged. Why should I do it? She's going to change every word on the page anyway, right? I mean, you all get that feeling sometimes. And the other one is, oh my gosh, she might ask questions about this and that, and I've got to do it all. I've got to do it all. I've got to think ahead and have every answer that can possibly be done. That's a big waste of time, okay? And so I try to empower my team. Sometimes they do things not the way I would have done it, and it's real hard to kind of bite your tongue and say, great, thanks. And I try to be very respectful of the team in the sense that if I ask you to do something, I want you to tell me, well, Janet, the way you asked for that is going to take me 3 weeks, up every night. What I do have is this analysis that I can update in 2 days. Is that good enough? You know, so you want your team members to feel empowered that they're trying to help to drive to the best solution. Okay? It's again, it comes back to that thinking like you own the business. And the other thing I would say, and I cannot overemphasize this, you have to invest in your team. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's the people who the boss thinks is terrific. It's, oh yeah, they're always, you know, Johnny on the spot and very respectful of the boss and doing whatever the boss wants. And then they turn around and they're mean to the people who work for them and disrespectful. I don't like that at all. On the other hand, if you invest in your team, you take the time to explain why you need this analysis, what it's for. First of all, they're going to tell you, well, here's a better way to do it, right? Because they know better than you do, right? But also they'll get more engaged. If you say, this is why we're looking at potentially selling this asset, then they'll start thinking about, wow, well then why don't you do this? And so they'll do better work, they'll make your job easier, they'll make you look easier. Yeah, it took a little bit of time, it's an investment, but it's absolutely worth it. It makes it a lot more rewarding for everybody.
Hi, I'm Gingy. I'm a graduate student. I'm majoring in statistics. And I have a question about the MBA degree. And how important do you think that MBA degree is for a person when she wants her career like continues further?
I'm going to step away from the microphone. I'm too honest. That's hoping for a longer question. It all depends on what you want to do. An MBA is a very powerful degree, particularly if you combine it with technical undergrad. Engineering, applied math, statistics, that's going to set you apart from your just any old MBA or your any old statistics major. And so I think it, also on the Council of Overseers at the Jones School, and I have to talk about the positive benefits of having an MBA. You know, I learned a lot while I was at Wharton. And it wasn't just the technical stuff. It wasn't just the capital asset pricing model. But I matured a lot when I was there, and I think it developed a lot. And so from a personal development that was very important. So you take that with you. It's also a great networking opportunity. You know, I mean, I've been working in New York for 3 years, and as a single young woman in New York, I was always in offices where it was almost all men, they were all married. And it's like, where was I going to find any friends? I got to Wharton, and it's like, I have 800 new friends. You know, so, which is not probably the right advertisement for business school, but what you take away from that is a network of people who are now in important places doing important things, which is very valuable. So I think what you've got to think about is what is your career objective at this point in time, and does an MBA help accelerate that? And so, you know, I don't know where your head is with regard to statistics. If you want to go into academia, MBA is not going to do you any good at all. You know, if you want to get some kind of marketing job that may be having the statistics, the technical understanding, along with the MBA, the sort of the softer parts of marketing, the more strategic part of marketing, you know, that might make a lot of sense.